Shalom, family. I want to talk to you about reading and studying the scriptures. I want to tell you, reading is so important until I can't find enough words to tell you how important it is. This is something that I've always been reading. So I've been reading a long time. Since I was young, I grew up reading books. And I've learned a lot from reading. And because I've learned so much through reading, I imparted that into my children as well. And my wife, she reads. And so, I remember our oldest daughter, man, we have so many pictures of her that we've taken of her just around the house reading. She was always reading. She would prefer reading than sitting back and looking at television. And so what made it nice was eventually, because there's so many just bad stuff on television and in the movies, we just kind of got rid of the cable and we didn't deal with television for a while. So we started pushing reading on all of our children, So as they would grow up, we would, hey, read a book, read a book, read a book. And as a result of it, our children love to read. I mean, they go to the library, I think, once a week to get books from the library, not to mention we have a ton of books here. And so they just love reading. Now I'm going to show you why this is so important. I remember years ago, I had saw this documentary, and it was pretty interesting, where they talked about reading and how the brain is. And I'll explain this to you. A human brain could possibly hold about probably hundreds of thousands, maybe even more than 1 million books. That's how much your brain can store. The problem is you would need to live about 1,000 years in order to read that many books. You would have to live a long time. Okay, so what do you have to do then? It's all based on what you read. So you have to sit back and say, okay, now I don't have time in my lifetime to read all of these books. So what I must do is I must pick the right books to read, because the right books is going to cultivate my mind. You understand me? And so I remember we had our kids had started a book club. And this is when we were back in Michigan. My daughter wanted to start this book club, so we was like, okay. And she started a book club. She had kids coming from all over, to be a part of this book club. We were like, wow, they were really into reading, And so when we moved to where we are now, we had a little group, and we were doing these videos. And I remember we did this video called Reading is Fundamental. And it was kind of neat because we were just fooling around trying to do a public service message, put it on YouTube, trying to get people to encourage their kids to read. And we were shocked when Reading is Fundamental got in touch with us and actually put our commercial that we did with our kids on their channel. And so we were like, wow, it was amazing, to see that. And so I remember our kids, they had this little rhyme they would make that they would say, which went kind of like this. They said, read is good for the brain. The more you read, the more you gain. That is so true. Because the more you read, the more you take in from books, from the scriptures, from other books that deal with the scriptures, the more you're going to gain, the more you're going to understand. Now, you know what the word says. The word says, study to show thyself approved, right? That's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, right? That's what the scripture says, okay? But I want to show you something here. There's something I want you to read between the lines, because I got some scriptures I want to share with you. Read between the lines, because most of these scriptures, the Messiah are saying, quoting these. I'm quoting what he said in the scriptures, okay? But watch this. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. Pay attention. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. And he said unto them, watch this, have ye not read what David did when he was hungered and they were with him? Now notice he said, have you not read what David did? Wow. Pay attention. I'm talking about the first part of his statement. Okay? He says, have you not heard what David did? Now, here's another one. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 5. Then he goes on and he says, or have you not read in the law? Right? Or have you not read in the law? Did you not read what David did? Have you not read in the law? Right? This is the Messiah. Now, watch this. Matthew chapter 19, he says this. And he answered and said unto them, and he was talking to who? The Pharisees. In all of these cases, if I'm correct, he was talking with the Pharisees. Now watch this. Chapter 19, verse 4. And he answered and said unto them, have you not read that which was made them at the beginning, made them male and female? So he's saying it again. Have you not read? Right? There it is again, right? Now watch this. This is Matthew chapter 21. Okay? And he said, and this is verse 16. And he said unto them, hearest thou what these say? And Yahusha said unto them, yeah. Have you never read? Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings, thou hast perfected praise? So wait a minute. Here he's saying this time, he said, have you never read? Have you never read? Wow. Listen to this. Why is he saying this? Let's go again. This is Matthew chapter 21, and this is verse 42, right? He starts off and says, Yahusha saith unto them, did ye never read in the scriptures? Listen to this. Did you never read in the scriptures? Have you not read? Have you not read what David did? Are you seeing it? Right? This is the Messiah talking. Right? Now let's go here. Let's go to Matthew chapter 22, which states, chapter 22, verse 31. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by Elohim, saying? There it is again. You see how he's studied, looking at them, saying, have you not read? Have you not read? Didn't you read? Have you even ever read? You hearing it? Let's go again. This is Mark now, chapter 2, verse 25. And he said unto them, have you never read what David did? Here's another one. This is Mark chapter 12, verse 21. Then he says, as touching the dead, they that rise. Then he says, have ye not read in the book of Moses? Wow. Have you not read in the book of Moses? Right? Here's one more. This is Mark chapter 12, verse 26. He says, when the epistle is read among you, cause that it be read also in the church of Laodicea. I'm sorry, this is Colossians. This is Paul speaking. He said, this is Colossians chapter 4, verse 16. He says, and when this epistle is read among you, this letter, he said, cause that it be read also in the church of the Laodiceans, that ye likewise read the epistle from Laodicea. Are you seeing this? Two more scriptures I want to share with you. This one here is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 22. I charge you by Yahuwah that this epistle be read unto all the holy brethren. Wow. Are you seeing it? Okay. Here it is again. Okay. You remember in the story in the book of Acts when Philip, had came across a eunuch that was trying to read the book of Isaiah, and he couldn't understand it. Listen to the statement here. And Philip ran rather to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah and said, understandest thou what thou readest? Understandest thou what thou readest? Now, what am I trying to get at here? I'm trying to point you a picture that Yah wants you reading. As much as you could read, you should be reading the scriptures, studying them, show yourself approved as a workman, right? Because for him to say that this many times to who? The Pharisees and the Sadducees, they obviously did not rightly divide the word of Elohim. That's why he said, have you not read what the scripture said? Because they weren't rightly dividing it. You see, you have to show yourself approved unto Elohim as a workman in the scriptures. In the scriptures, studying and reading. Okay? Now, I did this video because I get a lot of emails of people asking me, what books do you study from? What books? You give me a list of the books that you study from. Can you send me a list of the books? Can you give me a list? Give me a list. And I actually did a video where I actually showed everyone the list of books. Showed them the books in the video and I gave them the names of the books and everything. But for some reason, those old videos, once they get back in the archives, people don't see them. And so what I decided to do was I took the time out to do this for you, okay? These books here, I'm telling you, I have so many books. As you see, I have a ton of books, okay? I've read so many books. I got so many books. I have a very huge library at home here, okay? Library of books, okay? And so, what I did was, I said, okay, I'm going to get the books that I use for studying. Now, there are other books that I use for, just for reading, because sometimes it may be a good book to read dealing with, a certain like a book of giants. Like I read the book of giants, which is another lost book, and there are other books that I may read that may be a good read for things that I may be studying to gain a little insight on what others may have studied and what others may have learned. But the main study books that I use are some of these right here, okay? These books, what I did was, is roughly about close to 30 books that I generally do my studies from, okay? So if I'm digging into something and trying to get down into something, I may pull any one of these books out to search and see what's in these books, okay? Now, what I did to make it easy, I actually built a web page, okay? And on the web page is a link, an image and a link to all of the books that I currently use right now to study from, okay? To make it easy, if some of you wish to go and click on those links and look these books up, purchase these books, then you'll have it right there in front of you, you know, all the books that I have, and it would be a huge blessing for you, because these books have been a huge blessing for me studying these books, okay? And keep in mind, with any purchase that you make, it'll be a blessing to our ministry also. And so we encourage you to go look at the books. Look at the books there that I have. I have all of these books, and I've studied these books. I've been still studying them. You know, I read through, like this here is an Inner Bible. I love this Inner Bible. It's actually a 4-volume set. At the time I got this at a really good deal. This was some years ago when I got these. But it's a 4-book set, which allows you to look at the Old Testament and New Testament in the Hebrew and the Greek text. And the way it's laid out is really nice. I've learned when I want to get into a deep study and see what some of the original words is, this works extremely well. But I got other books too. I got concordances and dictionaries and just a number of things. But all of that is on this web page. Okay, you can go there. You can check out these books. You can order these books if you wish. Okay. But anyway, I want to do that for you all, so to be there, and so that way When I get the question, what books do you read? I can just say, hey, go right here. These are all the books that I study from. These aren't the books that I read, because I probably get about 200 books that I actually that I keep for myself, my private collection of books that I read in my spare time, basically. But these are the ones I actually study from, should I say. But anyway, I hope you understand the importance of reading. Okay, it's so important that the Messiah kept looking at the Pharisees like, if y'all had been reading, if you had been studying to show yourself approved, right, then you would have gotten this. You wouldn't be asking me these questions, you see. And so that's why it's important that we get an understanding, that we read and read and read and get a good understanding. Okay, well, on that note, family, I want to say shalom.
Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.